This is WZRD Chicago, 88.3 FM. And we have with us at WZRD via Zoom, Patrick J. Gibbons. He is running for the 31st Ward, City of Chicago, Alderperson. How are you today, Patrick?
Hello?
Hello, yes. How are you today?
Hey,
And you could hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
How are you today? I just
Do-
introduced you as the candidate running for City of Chicago 31st Ward Alderperson. Okay. Okay,
Thank you
well,
for this opportunity.
you're welcome. First of all, have you run before?
No, this is my first political run.
And what convinced you to run this time? Now.
Well, I have been a resident for a Belmont Cragin for like 40 years. I'm turning 40 years old this year.
Mm,
And I've seen a lot of crime within the last couple of years within my ward. Uh, I I live in the 31st ward that represents Belmont Cragin, Hermosa, Portage Park, Logan Square, and the crime is simply way too high. And the reason why I want to run is because safety is very important to me. When I was a kid growing up in Belmont Cragin, I used to play a lot of sports. Right when video games was beginning, kids would go out. We would play sports like roller hockey, baseball, fast pitch, you name it. Now kids can't do that anymore because instead of baseballs being thrown, there's bullets being thrown at kids, and that's not good. And I'm learning a lot. My first political run, and what I want for my ward is a security team that would patrol the area that would deter crime. I used to be a security officer for 15 years. Currently, I work at the United States Postal Service. And what really motivated me, the motivating factor, is that I was a carjacking victim last year in April, a day before Easter. And I was listening to the Cubs game. I was sleeping in the car, and then all of a sudden, I had a very bad incident where an individual pointed a gun to my head. He stole my car. He stole my wallet, my my checkbook, and after that, I told myself I have to do something. I can't just run away and hide. I have to stand up for others, and that's my model is others.
yeah, I think that I remember that incident. Actually, I heard it on WBBM News Radio, and it was that you are a postal worker, and then you were taking a break and sleeping, and then you got carjacked in Belmont Cragin.
Right.
Especially noticed that because that was my neighborhood before I moved. Before I moved, when so right now you're still working at the U.S. Postal Service and
Correct.
running. Mhm. And do you have any organizing experience, etc.? And is there anybody that encouraged you to run, or did you make your own decision?
I made my own decision, and when I was trying to get on the ballot, my name is not on the ballot. That's why I'm a write-in right now. So, in order for the vote to count, a voter would have to write in Pat Gibbons within the write-in box or line. I did not make the ballot. I by myself got 523 signatures. It's very hard to get people to sign, and it's also very hard to do a campaign by yourself. But I motivated myself, even though it was a mountainous um, thing to take on.
So all you need is 473 signatures. Do you know who
Correct.
was behind the challenge to your petitions?
Yes, I do. It was Mr. Cardona. He's the alderman right now, currently 31st Ward Alderman. And Cardona has a lot of connections. He has a lot of connections with the Barrios family. Barrios is very popular within the Democratic Party. He has an enormous amount of connections. His name is Joe Barrios. Joe Barrios has
Mhm.
a lot of connections, attorneys, and Giaconetti was the attorney that got me off the ballot. Who
Mhm.
is running, or one of the people that's going to be running for a Barrios position? It's all interconnected, and
Mhm.
that's very That's very important to know. And it's all like a political connection base. You're going against a machine. That's what you're going against. So the average blue collar worker that goes against a politician, you're not just going against the politician. You're going against his friends. You're going against the attorneys. You're going against the big unions. You're going against thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's very hard. And all I want to do is to make my community safe. But they see me as an intrusion. So they're going to do everything they can to stop me. And I knew they had so much connections and so much money. So I said to myself, I'm going to do a write-in anyways, get my experience in, and do the best I can, and make sure the community knows that safety is at the forefront. It's very important. And I don't think this alderman takes it seriously.
How long has Mr. Cardona's been in office? How
He's
many
been in
terms?
office one term. Uh, he beat Millie Santiago last time out, and Millie Santiago beat a gentleman by the name of Suarez, Ray Suarez.
Mm.
Ray Suarez is also very good friends. In fact, Cardona looks at Suarez as a political dad, and Suarez and Barrios and Cardona, they're all connected. In fact, they all live on the same street. Interesting enough.
Do you know if, for instance, Joe Barrios, he had a lot of clout, but he was beaten by Fritz Kagi. So do you know if, so is the machine now behind Fritz Kagi, or the machine is still trying to get Joe Barrios back? Do
I
you have
think
any
Joe
idea?
Well, I think Joe Barrios has a lot of connections, even though he lost. I don't think he ever loses that. I think that he has people on the inside still making moves for him. That and Giaconetti is one of them, the attorney that got me off the ballot. He's definitely one of them.
Mm. Who are your advisors? Where do you get your political advice, or do you have to learn it all by yourself?
It's like riding a bike, and I get advice, I take it or I leave it, and I try to decipher which advice is good and which advice is bad. Be my first political run. It's like it's the mountainous, a feat to go. It's very huge. You're going against, like I said, a machine, and to get good advice, it's hard because you don't know if the advice is bad, and they're working with the other party. They're working with the other person, the incumbent. Um, Initially, I got very bad advice how to run a campaign, and now I think I'm getting better at it. I'm getting people that's within the ward that believes in the same beliefs as I do and doesn't look at money as the most important, you know, a thing to, because in election you need to pay people. You need to pay people in order to get this done and that done. Now the people I have on my team, money is not really that important. What's important is your philosophy, just trying to tell the community, hey, this is important. We got to get this done. And they're working for me for just about nothing because they believe in the same thing I believe in. And I'm glad to have the team I have now.
Did you have to spend a lot of your own money, or are you able to get volunteers?
Initially, in the beginning, I spent a lot of my own money. Yes. Now it's getting easier. Like I said, I have people that will do it for free for me, basically, because they believe in the same thing I believe in.
How do you find these people that believe what you believe in?
Well, for one, safety is very important. I don't think there's anyone that really disagrees with that. Bring back small businesses is another important issue. Businesses are closing left and right within the ward, all throughout Chicagoland. In fact, there's closing because the fear of getting their store robbed. In fact, there's a store, Walgreens, on Diversity and Laramie. They're robbed left and right. In fact, they have nicknames. I kid you not, nicknames for the thieves that steal their beer, um, or whatever items. And this is ongoing. It's daily. And they call the police. The police will come. There's a police report, and that's about it. And what happens? The thieves will steal the next day. That's why I would want a security team to deter and not have arresting powers, but make sure they could stop the individual from stealing these local stores. Um, I get other people on board because they're for small businesses and safety. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican. Both parties agrees on that. unless they're a progressive. Progressives don't seem to like me very much. I don't get it.
And is Mr. Cardona supposed to be a progressive?
Mr. Cardona pretends to be a conservative. He
Mhm.
leans towards the left. He's not outrageously left, but he plays both sides very well. He is your typical politician. He was groomed in that spot. His father, from what I understand, was vice president of the Humboldt Park Parade, uh, Felix Cardona, and he has an enormous amount of connections. His father, of the Gutierrez family, Suarez, like I said, and Barrios, and that's how Felix got groomed into that spot. And he plays both sides very well. He's not very true to what he says. He says he's for the people, but when it comes down to it, he's just really for a six-figure salary.
So did any operatives or any other people, while you were getting your signatures for your petitions, did they did you get harassed by people? Because we
I
hear
did
that
get
that happens.
Yes, I did get harassed. Since I was by myself getting signatures, I would have like white vans follow me, turn the corner wherever corner I turned to. I had one individual actually give me a dirty look, slowing down when I was walking down the street. I've had people on anonymous Facebook accounts call me names. I had actually a couple of death threats. And in one particular incident, I don't know if it's related or not related, I was attacked on a pace bus, 223 pace bus. That's one of the huge hurdles you have to go through in doing a run like I do. Because you're by yourself, you have no bodyguards, you have no friends. And the friends you do have, they say they're for you, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be walking with you. They're not going to be getting signatures for you. But they'll be your biggest cheerleaders in the background. So I knew what I was going against. I'm going against a machine with people that they know people that are dirty. And everybody knows they know people that are dirty. But I try to be careful. Now, what I'm doing to get my name out is I'm mailing stuff. I'm mailing letters. I'm mailing cards. I'm mailing postcards. I am doing a text message, robocalls. I am doing internet, and I'm blessed to have radio interviews with you or anyone else for that matter. So I'm trying to get my name out and say to my community, safety is very important. It's very, very important. If we don't do anything now with safety, it's just going to get a lot worse. There's going to be people coming into the Walgreens and local mom and pop business stores with carts, stealing and coming out with carts full of stuff. And the alderman's not going to care. 3-4 years later, he's going to come to your door asking for your signature. There needs to be something done.
Mhm. And do you hear from other sections of the city where the same thing is happening? Do you, maybe other people who are running and then they also complain to you about what they're facing in their wards?
Yes, yes. In fact, I had a couple of phone calls yesterday. A friend of mine seen her uncle, I kid you not, her uncle try to drive down the street. Um, what I'm assuming a local gang member came out of his car, said a few things that it's not very nice, and fired bullets in his car. Sent me the video. Bullet holes riddled in the car. The gentleman's lucky to be alive. That is a typical day in Belmont Cragin. You can't even drive down the street. Evidently, uh, her family member, I believe her uncle, was waiting because the car was in front of him, just
Mhm.
waiting. Maybe he honked the horn. Maybe he didn't honk the horn. Maybe it was a long time. Guy came out of the car, fired bullets in the car, and then just drove off. A typical punk in Belmont Cragin. And this is typical. There's gangs that infest our neighborhood, and it's just getting worse. And elderly people are scared to come out of their homes at night. My father, he has a heart condition. He was recommended by his doctor to have walks at night. He is utterly afraid to come out of his house. And we can blame Lori Lightfoot for that. Yes, we can blame Kim Fox for that too. But we could also blame the aldermen for that too, because they have a budget of $1.6 million. And with that $1.6 million, you have the option of getting more cameras within the neighborhoods, getting a security team like they have in the 19th Ward. Mr. O'Shea has a security team that patrols small businesses and homes. And since homeowners and people that own commercial buildings had to go through such a high property tax this past year, in Logan Square alone, they've seen an 18% increase on their property taxes. Where's all the taxes going to? It should be going towards safety too. That should be very important. And these aldermen and city council, they say they're not going to raise your taxes, but look at their voting record. Each and every time, including Cardona, they vote for high taxes, high taxes. It's going to get to the point where the little person, the blue collar worker, is non-existent. The rich gets richer, the poor gets poorer, and the middle class, they're simply non-existent with these high prices, high property taxes, high inflation.
When do you know approximately what street that was where that happened, where the person got accosted in the broad daylight?
Oh, it was at night. It was
At night.
I have the video. It's I want to say it was around Costner, and it was around Costner and Palmer, around those streets. It was close to the Fullerton area. It was in Belmont Cragin, and a very lovely lady by the name of Debbie. I don't think she minds me mentioning her name. She's a community activist too, and she sent it to me. And she said that this is going on in our neighborhood, and we're thinking of doing a press conference on that. But sometimes it's hard to do press conferences because the victims are scared, because they don't want gang members to know who they are, and they feel that if they snitch, that they'll get shot or hurt or whatever the case may be. And we need more protection for people that speak up. And that's another thing too. I don't think there's enough protection for people that speak up against these thugs. And that's what they are. They're thugs. If you beat up an elderly person, you carjack somebody, you put bullet holes in someone's car, in my opinion, you're a thug. Lori Lightfoot may call you an unloved youth. I call you a thug.
Mr. O'Shea, what ward is he in? And
Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
And how much money did he spend the money out of his menu money to for the security details for the businesses? Do you know?
Yes. He's in the 19th Ward, and he received a few federal grants, one approximately $100,000. He's getting a lot of money in federal grants, and you can get federal grants. All you have to do is to talk up. Really, if you know how to do it and go about it, I'm sure aldermen get the best advisors around them. They have a nice circle. They have a nice team. And if I can't get it through federal grants, I can get it through my own budget. Like I said, they have a $1.6 million budget. A lot of the cameras within the 31st Ward does not work, according to many neighbors. What good is that when you have a camera, and these cameras cost around $25,000 to $30,000? What good is to have a camera that's worth $25,000 to $30,000 that doesn't work when you can have a security officer patrolling the area? That's what you need.
The cameras, were they damaged, or were they defective? Do you have any idea?
Probably defective. I think maintenance, the upkeep within the neighborhoods is not up to par. For instance, speed bumps, which is another security. You don't want cars flying through your neighborhood. Speed bumps is very essential, but these speed bumps are not well maintained. They haven't been maintained in several years within several neighborhoods within the 31st Ward. In fact, they blend into the streets. They're grayed into the streets where they look like it's part of the street. And what happens when a car goes down? They don't know there's a speed bump. They're going to ruin their car. There's several cars that damaged the like the splash shield. The splash shield is damaged. What holds up the transmission, that's damaged. I've been hearing a lot of issues with car damage because of these speed bumps that are not well maintained. Also, street lights. Street lights are not well maintained. A lot of them are out. I have a street light on my own block that's been out for 7 months. Been calling the alderman's office over and over and over again. He simply does not want to do anything. I think it's because he's taking it personal that I'm a write-in candidate. I don't take it personal. In fact, I sent him a Christmas card. I'm just doing it because my neighborhood needs safety. It's just that simple.
Mhm. Well, this is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And of course, we offer equal time to any opposing candidates if they want to also uh, interview with us. Just email us at stationmanager@wzrdchicago.org. Patrick,
Yes.
when you what has been the most difficult part? Is it the money part, the lack of experience? What would you say is most difficult for you, and also what has been the best? What have you learned that helped you the most?
Well, the most difficult part in running is trust. It's hard to
Mm,
trust certain people. I don't know who to trust, where to go to, and after a while, you understand who to trust. And there's a lot of shysters out there that wants your money. That's the end. I mean, that's really the story of it. There's people out there that say they'll get you on the ballot, but really what they're looking for is to have, this is an expression, grease their hands, so to speak. Give them a few $100, I'll get you on the ballot. And at the end of the day, they don't get you on the ballot. What they do have is your money. So the biggest hurdle, I had a hard time trusting people. Now I have a better understanding who to trust, who to go to. If I do another political run, I know exactly what to do because, being your first time in anything, it's hard. It's really hard. But I say if you want to do a political run, do it. Please do. If you want to make a difference in your community, do it. If you want to do it by yourself, do it. You know, don't be discouraged. Don't listen to. I don't care if it's your mother or your father. I don't care if they say you can't do it. Do it. And that's why I want to do it. I love when people say I can't do something. That just motivates me to do it. Uh, and the more they say I can't do something, the more I do it just to prove them wrong. That's what I like doing. What the greatest experience, the greatest I've met a lot of great friends within this run, a lot of great people. From a guy that had a gun pointed to his head in April to where I'm at now, I've came such a long way, such a long way. I've met great people. For instance, I name a couple of names. Walter Adamczyk, for instance, he's running for 29 Ward as a write-in. He's a great guy, great friend. He calls me all the time, asks me how I'm doing. If you can have one or two friends to ask you how you're doing, you you, you have that's gold right there. That's treasure. It's hard to find real, true friends, and he's been helping me a lot with my campaign. I've been helping him a lot with his campaign, and there's other individuals too, but he's at the top of the list.
And how did you meet him? How did you meet Walter? Is it Walter?
Yeah, Walter Adamczyk. He's running
Yeah.
for 29 Ward Alderman as a write-in. I met him
Okay.
because I did work for him. He was trying to run for state senator, second district, Republican,
Mhm.
and I was doing everything I can to help him get on the ballot, but he didn't receive enough signatures.
So
So I
was
go
this
ahead.
this election or was it a previous
It
election?
was a previous election. I did work for him.
Hmm.
I also have done previous work for Mr. Sullivan, governor candidate for Illinois. I also did previous work for Frank Coconati, Republican running for 8th District Commissioner.
Hmm. So when you find that people uh, are lying to you, do they usually lie just to make a buck, or is there how much of it is political opposition trying to trip you up?
The political opposition tries everything it can to trip you up. For instance, Facebook, I've been trying to do multiple accounts by myself. I did it 3 or 4 months ago. And I noticed because I have 2 or 3 accounts under my name, because I'm running for office, I'm blanked out, according to a lot of my friends. They're telling me we can't see your profile. And
Mm,
that's interesting to me. And I've heard this issue of other people. And I believe what the Democratic Party tries to do, the opposition tries to do, they try to do everything they can to shut you down. You
Mm.
understand? They try to shut down your freedom of speech. They try to, um, for instance, the Chicago Tribune the other day, they wouldn't want to interview me because they said they don't interview or endorse write-in candidates. But
Mm.
I feel that I'm just as important as any other candidate.
Mhm.
So I go with it. I go with the flow, but I know how it works. It's a one-party system in Illinois, and if you are on the opposite side, even though you share the same beliefs in many of the categories, they will ostracize you and they'll shut you down. And I've noticed that.
When you do you have any donations? How do you, or do you just do you try getting donations?
I try to spend out of my pocket until I'm going to get a fundraiser. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to organize a fundraiser very soon, and it's going to happen within the next 10 days or so. And it's going to be private donations from friends, family members, neighbors. And I feel that's the best way of going about it because I try to get union donations, and it's hard when you're a write-in candidate. Usually unions back the incumbent anyways,
Hmm.
because they know the incumbent, they know that's a better chance for them to win. They see us as launch shots. In fact, I was interviewed in a big room, 30 union heads or so from major unions, from SEIU Local 1, CTU, you name it. They were all there, okay? Firefighter union. And one of the gentlemen said that, so you're a one-man show, is that right? I was like, yes, sir, I'm a one-man show. And they don't like that. They rather back someone with money, connections, and that they know, and rather than a guy that's a long shot. So I understand that, um, but that doesn't discourage me.
Yeah. Let's see. When let's see, hang on just a second. No stuff. When when you run and then you go, do you go into how often do you have meet with the people, and then what are the people's reactions to you?
I meet with the people all the time. I go house to house within my neighborhood. I talk to them. I see how they're doing. People call me. People talk to me when I come out of my house or whatever the case may be about this situation and that situation. And what I also do is community activism. Whenever I see an issue in the neighborhood or any neighborhood for that matter, there's a press conference scheduled. And what we do is we alert the community that, hey, this is a huge issue. Everybody needs to know what's going on. I have done numerous press conferences with a gentleman by the name of Raul Montez Jr., and we try to alert neighborhoods what's going on. For instance, last time I did a press conference with Raul, we were talking about the shooting of 9-year-old Watts, that young man that was
Jesus.
shot while playing video games, and that is just that's horrible. When a child gets shot, the gun violence is simply out of control. It's simply out of control. And there needs to be some sort of plan, more police, I believe. There needs to be more patrols within the neighborhoods. And you know, as you know, the violence in this city is simply over the top.
Was that in Pilsen? And how far is Pilsen away from Little Village?
It's not far actually, Pilsen from Little Village.
Hmm.
It's not that far at all. It was in Pilsen. You're correct.
And
Oh,
have
wait.
you,
The 9-year-old that got shot. That's
Jacob?
that's where the I'm sorry to interrupt. That's where the press conference was at. But the
Oh,
9-year-old was shot, I believe, in the South Side of Chicago.
oh,
Well, like Washington Heights.
oh, yeah,
Right, right,
because yeah, I think and that weekend, right, there were a lot of shootings of young people, and then that was what
right.
the subject of the news conference. Have you been able to speak with the police, and if so, what did they tell you?
I talk to the police all the time about certain issues that's going on within the community. I believe that that they're overworked, outmanned, outgunned. There needs to be more people. There needs to be more police officers. There's simply not enough. And also, I talk to police officers. They tell me that they feel that they're always they're essentially my friends. They say that they're always watched, and they feel that they're always under the microscope, you know? And being under the microscope, it's hard to do your job. It's hard to do your job appropriately because let's say if they need to detain someone that's very violent and shoots up people and stuff like that, they need to do whatever it takes to stop that individual from hurting others. And I mean, you have to do everything you can to stop that individual. And that's where the conflict comes in. I believe a certain section of the media wants to play the bad with the police officers, and we all have a few bad apples within everything, priests, physical education, whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of good police officers. There's a lot of good officers that works their job, serves the people, does everything they can to protect the people. And I don't think that's talked about enough. And they feel discouraged. They feel mentally drained. That's why you had a large suicide rate with police officers. Last year, I believe 8 police officers took their lives. And that should be talked about too, that, you know, yeah, we understand there's police abuse. Yeah, there's certain bad apples within the group. Sure, I agree with that 100%. Bad apples all over the place. But there's a lot of good police officers too. And that's simply not talked about. For instance, in that press conference, about the young man getting shot, we talked about the police need to do their job and do there needs to be more officers so we can have more patrols in the neighborhoods. But the news, the media didn't want to play that because, you know, they feel that's not important. And I think that should be talked about more.
What about your case? Have they found the perpetrator? And even if they do, you know, what do you have any idea about what might happen? Have you seen other cases similar to that? And what happened to the perpetrator?
The perpetrator was never caught. I have a reward out there for the information leading to the arrest and conviction. $20,000 still out there. I want him caught. I want him caught because he needs to understand that you can't put guns to people's heads and rob their cars and rob their belongings. There needs to be some sort of example set. I don't know if it was bad parenting or what, but I feel that if I press charges at when he's caught, I'm giving him a lesson in life, whatever the case may be. If he's not caught, if he is caught, I hope he is caught because eventually a lot of gang members, when they're not caught, they're killed. That's a fact. I feel that the police are doing everything they can with this situation. And it's been a year almost. I am in constant contact with the detectives. They're working on it. I feel that he's not too far. He's not too far. In fact, he's probably listening to this radio show. But he better stop. He better stop because the police know exactly his trail. Like I said, he tried to, he did steal my checkbook. And what he did with his friends is he tried to forge a lot of checks within a 2-month period. So there's a paper trail. And I tried to pursue that with Wells Fargo, but Wells Fargo didn't want me to know where they tried to cash the checks, even though money wasn't taken out. So that's why I was motivated to do a press conference, because I feel that Wells Fargo is not giving me any information. I mean, if someone took your checkbook and tried to attempt to cash your check, you would want to know what was attempted. Wells Fargo didn't tell me that. So I was actually more mad at Wells Fargo than the carjacker, to be honest with you.
What reason did Wells Fargo give you for not revealing where the checks were cashed? Were they protecting the identity of the perpetrator?
They say they gave me so many stupid reasons, to be honest with you. They said that though it's on protection, like you said, we don't want to give out information over the phone and stuff like that. Well, I went inside the bank in Niles, Illinois, and they gave me the same thing. They said, well, we can't do it. It's above us. There's always something. So I felt, okay, I'm going to have a press conference, and one of your big executives is going to say, give this man the information. Well, someone from the upper echelon in Wells Fargo called me minutes after the press conference, unbelievably, and they said they're going to investigate and give me the information. They still haven't given me the information where these individuals try to cash the checks. Instead, they said I need a court order in order to get that information. A court order. I kid you not. Why do I need a court order in order to find out where someone tried to attempt my checks, the stolen checks? I don't get that. Chase Bank doesn't do that. Wells Fargo does. And I'm glad this story came up again. So if anybody banks at Wells Fargo, just so you know, if someone steals your checks and let's say cash didn't came out, it doesn't really matter. They try to attempt to steal money. Wells Fargo will not tell you where that perpetrator, that suspect, tried to cash your checks. They won't tell you the location. That's horrible, in my opinion. And if they gave me that information, the suspect would have been caught. But thanks to Wells Fargo, this guy's probably long gone.
Well, did you explain to them, and were you working with the detectives at that time? Because if you have the information about where the person wanted to cash the check, then the businesses where that person was would have camera footage of him being at him or whoever it was, being at the cash register trying to pass the check. And that footage could have been used to find the perpetrator. Were you able to talk with them about that and they still ignored you?
Exactly. You're exactly right. There's camera footage, and that's how you would find out who it was. And I could positively ID the person that had the gun to my head. That would be a slam dunk right there. But I did inform the detectives in the emails. There's many emails me telling them that, and I said that to the Wells Fargo too, and they said to me that the detectives they need to get a police or a a
Court
court
order.
order, a court order in order to get that information. I don't know what's going on with the courts. I'm not sure what's going on. The detectives know exactly what's going on. In fact, not too long ago, one of the detectives said they're trying to put a profile together. They seem to have somebody. So I might go down and look at the pictures. I don't know because this case is not dead yet. It's not dead yet. Um, Whether they seen camera footage or not, I don't know. But there was also other information too that can lead them to believe who it was. The car was dumped in Humboldt Park. I live in Belmont Cragin. They drove these individuals. There was three of them. One had the gun to my head. Two others came later on within the car. Uh, Minutes later, they circled around the car and they got into the car. I was out of the car. The guy with the gun to my head wanted me to drive him to an ATM. I simply said to him, I'm not driving you to no ATM. Because I knew in the back of my mind, if I go to like deep south side of Chicago, they're probably going to put a bullet through my head. I knew because I was on my block, the best way to get out of it, and the only way to get out of it is to slide out. And I said to this guy, you know what? You can have my car, you can have my wallet, you can have my checkbook. I don't care. I'm going to get out of here. I don't mean no harm. I put my hands up and I slid right out. I was fully expecting to get shot. He didn't shoot me. Then the other two individuals came into the car and they just drove off towards Cicero Avenue. This was at George and Lamont. And I quickly walked back to my house and I made a police report. The police came within 10, 15 minutes. They were doing roll call, according to one of the officers, and they were very quick. They were very nice. Um, from one of the detectives called me a day later and they said that, well, we seen your car because of the cameras, the cameras. And they were driving it into the south side of Chicago. Eventually, a few days later, it ended up in Humboldt Park. I want to say it was around Potomac Street. I forget exactly the area, but it was in Humboldt Park. And then the whole car was wrecked from top to bottom. They were joyriding in it. Who knows what else they were doing with it. I had to pick up the car at 103rd and Doty, which is where you pick up cars if they were carjacked, whatever. And it was a long ride over there. And yeah, I was depressed when I see my car damaged. It was really depressing.
Did they charge you a fee for the car being there and you having to pick it up?
That was waived, but I owed a city sticker ticket, and they made sure I paid the city sticker ticket until I got my car back. So they held me on hostage on that. I was only a couple days late on my city sticker ticket, but it's that's the city of Chicago for you.
Uh, for this kind of information, are you able to use the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, or is Freedom of Information Act only applies to governmental agencies, such as if you wanted the information from Wells Fargo?
You know what? That's very I actually I was thinking of getting an attorney and using that, the Freedom of Information Act. Um, but an attorney's going to cost money, so I might just do that. To be honest with you, I've been processing everything. There's a lot to process because I'm doing this election run
Mhm.
within the 31st ward, but it's never too late. I'm probably going to do that. Yeah, I'm probably going to do that, and I'm probably going to take your advice on that.
Well, there's a lot of crime victims too, and then of course you're uh, advocating on their behalf by running. So,
Yeah,
if they watch this interview, they learn too, and then hopefully some good will come out of the interview that you might be able to help people anyway.
I hope so.
When you talk about the security teams and the grants, etc., so usually grants are very cumbersome. You have to detail how you are going to spend, and then you have to account for every cent that you spend. Do you have any idea about the money that Mr. O'Shea is spending from the grants, and what kind of money that is, and uh, more details about uh, where the grants are coming from?
That's a very good question. I believe Mr. O'Shea, who's a very good alderman, by the way, he implements a lot of programs for the children. He has a dodgeball program for the children, and that's what I want to do within the ward too, is to have a lot of activities for children where they're safe. They feel safe. He has grants, like I said, one big grant, and it was actually publicized in the news, $100,000, a federal grant, and uh, you could go to city council. You could plead your case to city council and say that, hey, my neighborhood needs safety. We need A, B, C, D. You can go to the governor's office and ask him if he can help you out. And that's what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to network. I want to network with people that know exactly how to go about this, that know exactly what to do. I have a voice like anyone else. All I have to do is show them the statistics within Belmont Cragin. Belmont Cragin alone, the crime has went up since last year by 42%.
Wow.
42%. That's an actual stat. And it's actually over 40% in the city of Chicago. The crime has went up. So it's all in all 77 neighborhoods. The crime has went up. Um, Anyone can request, any politician can request a federal grant. And I mean, it's an emergency. If you prove that your neighborhood needs extra security because of crime, that's like an emergency. Um, so I'm sure, like I said, if I can't get federal grants, and I know it could be hard, it could be a tough process, I'll simply get it out of my own budget because I know I got a $1.6 million budget. And they say, are you going to get CPD's permission, the 25th Police District's permission? Friends that ask me, are you going to get City Council's permission? Technically speaking, you can go around all of that. All you have to do is go to business leaders, like they have in Bucktown. Go to business leaders, but business leaders have their own group and have a security team within the group of business leaders. Okay, this team is going to patrol this business, that business, this business within the 31st ward, and you don't need the approval of city council. You don't need the approval of the 25th police district. Although I will tell 25th police district what I'm doing because I feel if they're on board too, it just makes it stronger.
Mm,
There's more unification within the security team and the police officers. And I'm
mm,
not doing this as an outsourced plan of police officers. I believe there should be more police officers. The security
mm,
team is there to assist, to help
mm,
out police officers. It's a second set of eyes. They can write another report, you know, and that's good because that report can be used as a legalized document. I've worked before like I said, worked I'm currently a United States postal worker. I've been in security for 15 years, and I know you could use your report as a legal document.
Hmm.
So another set of eyes would be great, just in case the suspect left, the perpetrator left. He can give that report to the police officers, who can give that to the detectives.
Hmm. And about what about the crime rate in Mr. O'Shea's ward versus the 31st ward? How long has he been using that grant money for more security?
He has been using that grant money for the last 4 years.
Okay.
Well, ever since he's been alderman, just
Mhm.
about in the beginning of his term, he's been using that, which is a very good thing. And that's why he's probably going to be reelected, because people like safety. Um,
So his ward
his
is
his
safer
ward is
than.
his ward, because of that security team, is a lot safer than the 31st ward. Before O'Shea came into office for the 19th ward, his neighborhoods, there was a lot of crime. There was a lot of theft within the stores. There was a lot of theft. Theft was over the top. And businesses, as you know, they can't survive when people suspects are stealing left and right.
Mhm. Right. So his is a model community then for of the of 50 wards then with his security team. Is what you're kind of saying, right? Because it
I,
works.
I think that the security team idea is going to catch on. It's going to catch on because I've heard other candidates use it too. For instance, David Herrera for 36 ward candidacy, he wants a security team. 29th ward write-in candidate Walter Adamczyk, he wants a security team. I I've heard that, like I said, O'Shea, 19th ward, he has a security team. I want a security team. I feel that other wards are catching on to this. Um, Bill Morton of the 49th Ward, he likes the idea of a security team. So it keeps it, the idea is a great idea because safety is at the forefront of many of these communities, especially with the Safety Act passing. And there's little to anything done to these criminals. There needs to be something to protect the citizens, the people of our community. Otherwise, these these thugs are going to just run rapid on us, think that they can do anything they want with little to no consequences. And that's just not good. I mean, that's not appropriate. And as long as I'm here on this planet, I won't allow it to happen. I'm telling you that right now.
Mhm. So if you hadn't been carjacked that day, you wouldn't be running now, you don't think?
Yeah, in a way, I should indirectly thank my carjacker.
Are there any other important points, important reasons that you are running besides to reduce crime with
I
security teams?
I want to bring back small businesses. I
Mhm.
feel that it's like a domino effect. When you have no safety within your community, small businesses suffer, small businesses close. I feel that small businesses can be open longer if they feel the community is safer. You see a lot of businesses closing at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. It wasn't like that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you had Dunkin' Donuts that was open 24/7. You had businesses open till 11, 12 o'clock. Now they close at 9, and then when they close the door, they're watching both ways, and then they're going to their car with an entourage just in case they get robbed. It's that bad. It's that bad. So I feel with the safety plan, I'm able to bring back businesses. In fact, there's so many closed businesses within Belmont Cragin. You see them when you walk down the street. Walk down Laramie one day, around Laramie and Diversity. You see flower shops are closed. You'll see a tool place that's closed,
Hmm.
businesses that used to be open for 30, 40 years. A printing press company on Addison and Lawn has been open for 30 plus years, closed. Caludas on Diversity and Laramie, closed. Um, China House down the street on Diversity and Leclerc, closed. And they've been open for many years. So what do you have? You have a empty building that homeless people will go into. Drugs are being into the neighborhood. They're coming into the neighborhood left and right. gang members are in the area with abandoned buildings. And when you have all that stuff, you're going to have prostitution coming in too. There's a huge prostitution problem on Cicero and Wellington. In fact, Alderman Cardona's campaign office is at Cicero and Wellington. And there's a lot of prostitution that comes around at night around his campaign office. No one does anything. No one says anything. He comes back during the day at 9, 10 o'clock. He does his 5 hours of work, gets paid $150,000 a year, and he doesn't know what's going on at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning at the same location. There's prostitutes, closed businesses across the street. In fact, there is a place where they cut meat, a butcher shop, a huge butcher shop that's closed down, graffiti all over the place. It's been closed down for the last 3, 4 years, not reopening, nothing. He brags about he's bringing small businesses back, but when I walk outside and when I walk in my community, I see a lot of closed businesses. And that's his problem. That's his fault. He's the one that's destroying our community because he's simply not doing anything. He'd rather hide from the community and keep his 6-figure salary. And that, to me, that's not appropriate at all. That's not appropriate. That's why the little person, the blue collar worker, has to talk up against this, because at the end of the day, he serves us. He's not our boss. He serves us. We're the boss of him. And if we don't like him, we could fire him.
When you mentioned O'Shea's ward, the 19th ward, how are businesses over there? Are there less vacancies, a lot less? Have you taken a look?
It's prospering. It's a very nice area, in fact. It's a very nice area. I think O'Shea is doing such a great job. I don't want to go all out and endorse Mr. O'Shea, but I love his ideas. I really do. I would love to meet him one day and talk to him in great detail, more about the security plan and more about how he has everything implemented. I feel it's a brilliant idea. He has the one ward that has full-blown security, actually patrolling small businesses, neighborhoods, and people feel safer. That in the 19th ward, that's where Tom Dart lives. It's a beautiful area. It's a nice area. And I want the 31st ward to be just like the 19th ward, really. I want people to come out. I want elderly people to go out and walk and not look both ways and see, why is that white van following me from one corner to the other? It's very scary here at night. It's very scary here down Cicero Avenue at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I wouldn't recommend walking down Cicero Avenue. And that has to change. That really has to change. People need to open up their eyes and see what's around them, the crime around them. And I'm not going with the status quo. I'm not the type that will say, well, that's part of life. That's part of the neighborhood, whatever. No, that's why I'm talking up. One day I want Cicero Avenue to be a beautiful place to walk at 1 in the morning, 12 o'clock at night. I don't want the future of Belmont Cragin to worry about coming out at night. That needs to stop. That truly needs to stop.
When you were a young child, you were able to walk outside at night, right?
Many times. I would take long walks with my dad when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, nothing to worry about. We didn't worry about gunshots and people getting killed. Now these thugs, what they do is they kill people just to get initiated in the gang. You hear it all the time. It's unbelievable. Before I was carjacked, a couple, a few blocks away from where I live, they were gunned down. They were eating in their car, multiple gunshot wounds, and their car was taken from them. 2 lying there with gunshot wounds, and that was a couple months before me. We had over 1,500 carjackings last year in the city of Chicago. 1,500.
Is that a record?
Yeah, it seems like a record. And a lot of that crime happens in the 31st ward too. It happens in Belmont Cragin, happens in Hermosa, happens in Portage Park, happens in Logan Square. All those areas I just mentioned is part of the 31st ward. And I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican, you should be a common sense type of person where when you look outside, be honest with yourself. Do you feel safe within our community? Do you actually feel safe? That's one thought you should have in your head. The next thought is, do you really believe your alderman is doing everything he possibly can to make you safe? And if he isn't, then you shouldn't elect him. You shouldn't vote for him. You should write my name in, Pat Gibbons, because I'm the guy that will bring safety to this community. I feel I am, because that's my agenda, that's my platform. I don't want elderly people getting beaten up. I don't want carjackings happening in my community. I don't want little kids getting shot up. I don't want that no more. I want it to be where it was when I was a kid, where you can walk out at midnight, 1 in the morning with your dad and not have a worry in the world, because it's a beautiful area.
Mr. Gibbons, Patrick J. Gibbons, where
Yes.
can
You can call me
our
Pat.
listeners, yes, Pat, where can listeners find out more about you and contact you?
Well, I'm an open book. You know, I don't mind giving out my phone number out there. Is it okay if I can give out my phone number on air?
Absolutely. Yes, you can.
Okay. If you want to know anything about me, you can call me. My number is 773-425-9362. You can call me on my cell and I'll tell you more about my agenda. You could also reach me on Facebook. My name is Patrick J. Gibbons. I also have another one, Pat Gibbons. Just look at me in the search, and that's my 2 websites. And I'll be happy to talk more about my safety agenda, which I feel is very, very important.
Well, if you have more to talk about on your safety agenda, by all means, you could give it all to us.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, more about myself. Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
I want to implement more safety cameras within the area, which is very important. Like I said, a camera costs anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000. I would like to implement those cameras within high crime areas. I would also like the cameras to work too. You go to areas outside of Chicago, for instance, like Elmwood Park, Harwood Heights, Norwich, Illinois. If a trespasser comes on a business property, what happens is the camera sends a signal to dispatch. Dispatch sends a signal to the police officer within the area, and then the suspect, and there's other cameras that know where the suspect is going. The police officer actually will follow where the suspect is going and catch you. That's a great, great way of safety. I feel that there should be cameras like that trails the suspect. I feel that there should be more of it. Okay, street lights, something basic. Street lights should be working. Like I said, there's a street light on George and Laverne that's been out for almost 6 months. When you don't have a street light, emanating light on the sidewalk or the streets, you have no clue who's behind you. You have no clue who's in front of you. It's very dark. It gets very dark here at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night during the winter months. So you don't know where you're going. It's very creepy at night. And plus, what they did in Belmont Cragin, they added more trees. We already have big trees that are not well maintained. We have trees that are falling almost into people's houses. The trees are shedding branches into the street. They're huge trees. I'm not saying cut down the trees. I'm saying they should be well maintained. And that's part of safety too. Street, like I said, speed bumps haven't been well maintained in years. They are blending into the streets. There is no paint to see a speed bump from a great distance. So when you're driving down the street, boom, your car is like really messed up, you know? And there's been a lot of issues with that. I feel that also the speed bump should also be well painted. It also should be where it's at a surface level where you can see it probably 3 inches off. You have some speed bumps that are like hills, or like, I swear to God, like Bunker Hills that are like 6 inches off the ground. That's excessive. I say 3 inches off the ground. The paint, instead of white, should be yellow paint. Also, part of the safety plan, there's a lot of folks within the 31st Ward that would like their own handicap spot. They've been asking the alderman's office for months for their own handicap spot with legitimate handicaps. They haven't gotten that. Because, quite frankly, Cardona, he doesn't care about the average person. He doesn't. So what I want to do is I want to implement like little barriers with the handicap spot where the people are not cutting into the handicap spot, like little barriers, or they're not parking into the spot.
Mhm.
And also, if there's, because that's a huge issue too, by the way, if there's people actually parking into handicap spots and they shouldn't be in there, the security team will write a ticket. They'll have the authority to write you a ticket. They'll also call Chicago Tow and tow that car out because there needs to be more respect for our elderly. There needs to be more respect for people with disabilities. And the days of people parking into disability spots and they shouldn't be there would stop with me.
Mhm. Do you know if there are any other aldermen? I know that I think Secretary of State Jesse White did send out some patrols to catch people who were abusing the people with disabilities parking signs. But do you know if there are other aldermen that are already implementing that, and how is it going if they are?
It's not happening within the 31st ward, I'll tell you that much.
Mhm.
I have a great understanding of what's going on in the 31st ward. And that's
That's right.
interesting. That's interesting you mentioned Jesse White because Mr. Cardona, he teamed up with Alexi,
Hmm.
who of course is the new Secretary of State.
Hmm.
Teamed up with Alexi. They have an office on Cicero and Wellington that they rented out from doctor, my
Oh.
doctor all my life.
Hmm.
So my doctor supports and endorses me, but he's taking Cardona's money, which is I think is kind of funny. The office that he teamed up with Alexi, I don't think has a clue about what you just said, and Jesse didn't have. He didn't do that either in the 31st ward. So I don't if Cardonia does have patrols within the area with security team, that's the guy to go to. Is Alexi? He has that connection. You understand? He's not going to do that because I went to the alderman's office. I went to the alderman's office before this run, and I actually asked him, "Can we have security within our team?" I think that's a great idea, he said. In fact, it was my idea. I swear to you, that's what he said. But you know what's the problem, Patrick? It's too much money. We don't have the money. You do have the money. You just don't want to do it for whatever reason. You can do it. I said, what about implementing more cameras within the community? He's like, Patrick, that's a great idea. And that's where I got the figure from 25 to $30,000 was from the alderman himself. He said, I kid you not, it was his idea too, but it's just too much money. No, you can't just keep saying that. You can't just keep saying that, hey, the cameras are too much money, security's too much money, neighborhood upkeep is too much money, and just allow everything go to hell. You can't do that. You got to do something, and especially if you have political connections like Alexi, who you shared an office with, who has a lot of money, and you simply still don't want to do it for the people. That's why I want to inform the people of my community what's going on. I want to tell them exactly what is Cardonia's connections. He's not just a simple alderman. He has a lot of political connections. From Barrios to Alexi, he is he's like the trophy boy of the Democratic Party. So if he's the trophy boy, that means he can do a lot when it comes to safety. And he doesn't want to. He simply doesn't want to. And he's negligent in that area. He's negligent for the people of our ward.
Do you have any idea why he would make the community safer?
He doesn't want to make the community safer for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons he doesn't want to step on eggshells and he doesn't want to offend anybody. He feels that he was going to lose votes with a lot of people. Because from what I've noticed, he acts one way and he does another way. And that's not right. For instance, he said to my father once that he is, between you and me, I'm a Republican. And my dad bought it. He is not a Republican. The Democratic Party endorses him. He's one of those guys, what I'm trying to say is he'll say whatever it takes to get someone's signature. He does that. I'm straightforward. I'm straightforward. Obviously, I have conservative values. Obviously, I stand more Republican. But here's the thing. it's a nonpartisan race. It's a nonpartisan race. And my agenda is safety and bring small businesses back to the community. That's one and two. We have no control over the bigger issues that, the governor deals with or the mayor deals with. We're just a fraction. And I can do a lot within my community because I have the sight, I have the vision, where Cardona, he simply doesn't care to do it, because if he could have done it, he had the opportunity to do a lot of things for our community, and he simply doesn't. There is, for instance, he has another office in a hall mall, okay, on Diversity and Cicero. You go to that hall mall, you will see a lot of businesses closed around him. A lot of businesses are closing that hall mall, but he has an office. It seems to me that he cares more about his little area, about his six-figure salary, than the people within his ward. Also, this is very important. He says he's not for raising taxes. Several times he has voted for in city council to raise property taxes. Several times. This last spending bill, he was for it. Like I said, the folks in Logan Square, who has a large Latino community, seeing their property taxes went up from $4,000 to $6,000, an 18% increase, And he acts like he's for the people, but if you're for the people, why are you raising their taxes? Why are you for raising their taxes? Why are you for raising businesses, small business taxes, and you don't implement a safety plan?
Actually, by the way, this is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us via Zoom Patrick J. Gibbons, who is a candidate for alderman of the 31st Ward of the City of Chicago. Let's see. So the property taxes actually increased a lot. If they went up from 4,000 to 6,000, that's like an increase of 50%, because half of 4,000 is 2,000. That's a major increase.
Right. Yes,
Wow.
you're absolutely right. I looked up statistics of 46% on the west side area for Latinos, huge. The Latinos are getting screwed left and right. It's unfortunate, and they bring a lot to our community. I'm actually part Mexican myself. I'm Irish and Mexican, so I can relate to the struggle of the community, the Latino community. It's very unfortunate. And you would think these aldermen cares. They don't care. They simply don't care. Not just the property taxes is through the roof, but the natural gas prices is through the roof. The cost of living is through the roof. The gasoline you put in your car is through the roof. So you're barely struggling. You're barely making it. So when you have aldermen voting for high property taxes, you got to wonder, do you really care about the little person? No, you don't. But at the end of the day, if you look at these aldermen, they don't mind giving themselves a pat on the back and a raise. They'll vote for that 5% raise. They'll vote for that 9.3% raise. They'll maintain that six-figure salary while we're suffering with high property taxes. It's so unethical. It's so horrible. And it makes me sick to even think about it. When I'm elected to any public office, let's say I'm elected to alderman, I hope I am, I will never, ever vote for high taxes. I don't care what the bill is. I don't care if there's a lot of pork in the bill. I don't care. I will never vote for high taxes, period. End of story. Alderman Cardona, several times he voted for high property taxes. And that's proven. And that's actually public record.
So Alderman Cardona, does he have any other opponents in this race?
Yes, he does. A gentleman by the name of Esteban Burgoa. Esteban Burgoa fancies himself as a reverend. He's famous in 2019 for peeping through Jessica Gutierrez's basement window. It was actually on WGN. And he said within the Facebook Live video that, hey, there's spider webs on the walls. He did this to prove, or trying to prove, which it wasn't really true, that Jessica Gutierrez, who's running for the 30th Ward, by the way, at the time, is not a resident of the area. And because Burgoa is a big Raboyas, loyalist. Raboyes was the previous alderman for the 30th Ward. He wanted to do everything he can to impress him. So he trespassed on Jessica Gutierrez's lawn. He stalked Jessica Gutierrez. He went literally by the window, played a 30-minute Facebook Live video, and was talking about the spider webs in her basement. This is one of the folks on the ballot I'm going against. He is an absolute weirdo. And then he says he's a reverend. This is the crazy part. He's a reverend. A reverend? So I'm going against Esteban Burgoa, and that's actually, it was play on WGN News what this gentleman did. And I'm going against Felix Cardona, and it's me, of course.
So it was Cardona that challenged you.
Oh, yes, it was Felix Cardona that challenged me through the long arm of Joe Barrios, who had Giaconetti, the attorney, that filed like 8 objections against me. And since I have 523 signatures, I needed legally 473. I knew that I didn't have enough signatures, legal, well, when they say legal, meaning registered voters within the 31st Ward. I had other people from other wards signing, I guess, when I checked later on. I was in front of the Walmart on Diversey. I believe it's Diversey. And I was also in front of a Walgreens getting signatures because a lot of folks, they don't want to answer the door, and I don't blame them. They don't know who I am. So I was in front of the store telling them my platform and stuff. And before you know it, maybe I had out of 523, 300 good signatures. And I thought I did a great job by myself. I really believe, because it's very hard. Imagine you're going out there in the cold. You're going out there when it's raining. You're pestering people really to get a signature, and they don't know from you from Adam. This is my first political run. I am not famous for anything. I am really a nobody to people. I'm a somebody to my mother, but I'm really a nobody to others. But I feel that I got a lot of signatures by myself, and I feel that my message is getting out there. I feel the message of safety is getting out there. I want everyone to know that I'm as real as it gets. I'm a United States postal worker. I'm down to earth, and I'm just doing this for positive change. And I am for the people of my community because I've been in the community for 40 years. I went to Faulkner Elementary School, Irving Park Middle School, and then I went to Foreman High School. I graduated from Wright College and went to Northeastern Illinois University, where this radio show is at. So Northeastern is a great college, by the way. I highly recommend it.
I agree. Do you know if Mr. Cardona challenged Mr. Barragoa's signatures as well?
He did. He did. He actually Zachanek, or I believe I just said the name, Zachanetti. He challenged him pretty good. He gave this guy more. Well, it's not really the attorney. It's the objectors are people that's within the ward. I'm not going to mention their names, but they're Cardona loyalists, obviously. So they challenge Burgoa, and there's a long list of challenges. And they actually list the signatures that were challenged too. And I had like 8 objections against me. Burgoa had like 12, 13. It was outrageously high. Plus, it goes into detail the signatures that are objected as well. I guess they felt that Burgoa is more of a stronger opponent than me because he has more of a political background than me. And that's okay. That's what I want them to believe, because I'm going to surprise them coming election day. I also believe that Burgoa wasted a lot of time in hearing battles trying to get himself on the ballot, where I did right away. I said right in. That's what I'm doing. I'm not messing with hearings, attorneys, money. I'm not giving no attorney a Christmas bonus before Christmas. I'm going to spend my money where it should be spent. I got a set budget, and what I'm doing, I'm sending out postcards. I'm sending out literature. I'm sending out thank you cards for signing my petition. And I feel that that's one of the strategies of an incumbent. That's what they do. They try to let you waste so much time to keep your name on a ballot, where you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to keep your name on a ballot. It's really a corrupt system. It really is. You go to another state, another county, all you have to do is say, hey, I'm running for this office, and your name's on the ballot. Here, in fact, to run for mayor of Los Angeles, all you need is 400 signatures.
Oh.
Here, in a alderman's race, you need 473. It's ridiculous, you know? And if, let's say, you got 1,500 signatures like David Herrera did in the 36, they'll still challenge you. They'll still go after you because they want you to waste time on this. And I knew what they were doing right away. So I said to myself, I'm not going to waste no time. I'm going to go right away to the people that signed my petition. I'm going to say to them exactly what's going on and say to them exactly what you should do. So now, because I started early, I have nearly 600 people that said they would sign my name on February 28th. And that number is just going to continue to grow. And what's going to happen is, I guarantee you, this election in the 31st Ward will go into a runoff. Definitely will go into a runoff if Burgoa wants to stay in. I don't know the status of Burgoa, if he's on the ballot or he wants to be a write-in, but I do know, and it's worth saying, one of his cronies, one of his people did call me in his campaign and actually asked me, how do we go about being a write-in candidate? I kid you not. And I said to the person on the other end, well, why don't you figure out for yourself? Why should I help you? You know what I mean? So it sounds like Burgoa really wants to be in the race, whether he's on the ballot or a write-in. In fact, he wanted my advice too, how to do it, but I figured not to give it to him because I'm going against him. So
when so you haven't attended any of the hearings then, is what you're saying?
no, I did not. I did not attend.
And have you followed the decisions? Is when you did not attend the hearings, were you removed from the ballot, or is it still pending? Is there a recommendation pending on your case?
No, right away on the first day, I put a withdrawal, which form you sent to the Chicago Board of Elections, and then also I said I want to be a write-in candidate on the same day. And there, I guess they have different sections with the Chicago Board of Elections. One individual came and they took my withdrawal form, and then the other group of folks, they said, okay, you're a write-in, that's great. I asked them, can the voter put in my name, Pat Gibbons? Because my name is Patrick Joseph Gibbons II. It's a long name. Can they just like say Pat Gibbons? And they said, that's fine. Fine. Yeah, Pat Gibbons is perfect. I was like, cool. So I figure with a name like Pat Gibbons and being a resident of 40 years, that's a slam dunk. That's easy votes. My name doesn't have like 15 letters, you know, for a last name. It's very easy. You can spell it very easy. And I feel that when it comes, I know the odds of winning for write-in candidacy. I get that. I know there was a mayor that won in Bensonville, you know, not too long ago as a write-in candidate. So I know it's possible. And I also know that I've been a resident for a long time and the people know me and they love me here. They would sign my name in an instant. It doesn't matter if they voted for Cardona. They'll say to Cardona, yes, we'll vote for you, no problem, yeah. And then they'll turn around and write my name in. And in fact, there's old Cardona loyalists that personally said to me that they're going to sign my name. And I feel that's why I have a legitimate shot in making this into a runoff election going into April.
So you have been living in the ward all your life. Do you know what about your opponents, Cardona and then Burgoa? How long have they been in the ward?
Burgoa actually is outside of the ward. Burgoa is actually outside of the ward. You know, when they remap, they say now you could go into the 31st ward, the 30th ward, the 29th, whatever the case may be. You can go to other wards and run. Only it's I think that's every 10 years. That's what I heard. That you can go outside your ward and run for that election. Burgoa purposely went outside the 30th ward, which he is at. Okay.
Well, as long as the 31st ward encompassed where he was at the time, that makes it count, right?
Right,
Because,
right, exactly. Yeah, you're right. So, Burgoa, like I said, was a loyalist to Raboyes. I
right.
don't know if he's still a loyalist to Raboyes because Raboyes and Cardonia is very tight.
Oh,
So he, like I said, did that favor, supposed favor that blew up in his face. He stalked, harassed, and actually trespassed on Jessica Gutierrez's property back 4 years ago, which was major news. And he went outside his ward um, this time around. I guess he doesn't want to run the 30th ward because of that issue he did, and that's kind of, I mean, it's kind of bad. I mean, when you think about it, I wouldn't want to vote for someone that trespassed on a young lady's lawn and put a camera to their window and try to see what they're doing. I mean, I think that's awful, actually. So I believe that he went outside his ward because of that incident, but he's a 30th ward guy. He's not part of the 31st ward. He's not part of the community. He pretends to be part of the community. He's not. He's not. Cardonia has been in the 31st ward, not as long as me. I've been in the ward my whole life. Like I said, I'm going to turn 40 years old. Cardonia has been in the ward for, I don't know, maybe a good 20 plus years or so. In fact, an interesting piece of history within our community, when Ray Suarez was running for re-election back a few years ago, Burgoa was going against Ray Suarez. And one of the objectors was Felix Cardona Jr.
Oh,
So there's a
the
little
son,
there's a little history there.
the son of Alderman Cardona, you mean?
No, Felix Cardona Jr. What I'm trying to say is years ago in the 31st ward, years ago, when Ray Suarez was the alderman, because you have Felix Cardona now, and then before you had Millie Santiago, then you had Ray Suarez. So Ray Suarez was running for re-election, okay, and he had an objector. No, I'm sorry. Ray Suarez was going against his opponent. Ray Suarez was the incumbent. His opponent was Esteban Burgoa. The objector was Felix Cardona Jr., our current alderman.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes. So there is a huge connection with Suarez, Cardona, burials. I'm sure they have barbecues together. I'm pretty sure about it. They're probably, you never know.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a history there. That's why Esteban Burgoa is running. He doesn't like the fact he was kicked off the ballot. So this is more revenge for him. Vindication. He has no pitch. He has no safety pitch. He has no pitch for small businesses. He's purely doing this out of revenge against Cardonia.
He was kicked off the ballot when? Burgoa?
Well, what's that?
You said Mr. Burgoa was kicked off the ballot before, right?
Yes, Mr. Burgoa was kicked off the ballot. That is correct, 100%.
When Felix Cardona was the objector.
Yes.
And at that time, what office again was Mr. Burgoa running for?
31st Ward. He was
Oh,
running for 30. This was, back a few years ago. This was about, I don't know, 10 so years ago.
so he's running,
I believe that was with the last remapping. But Suarez was running, and the objector was Felix Cardona Jr., and Esteban Burgoa was Suarez's opponent. Suarez was our alderman for many years, many years. In fact, he was the vice mayor of Chicago, and he would sign his name as vice mayor of Chicago. So he had a lot of clout. He had a lot of clout. So if he didn't want you on the ballot, he made sure he got someone that was close to him to get you off the ballot, and that was Felix Cardona Jr. So that doesn't surprise me because Cardona was molded into that position from Suarez.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of background history of politics here.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for that. There's a lot of interesting insight that I think our listeners have not heard before. So thank you so much, Patrick J. Gibbons, candidate for Alderman in the 31st Ward of the City of Chicago.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good
Happy to
one.
be here.
Happy New
You
Year
too.
to you too. Thank you.
Thank you.